The ANC says it will be engaging with parties both inside and outside the coalition. It's working on a possible reconfiguration of the Government of National Unity. Both the ANC and the DA have been at odds over the 2025 budget. Let's have a look at what all this means, especially in the context of global moves, both on the economic and political fronts. Social commentator Donovan Williams joins us now. Donovan, good morning. Thanks as always for your time. The last piece that you wrote, which was published, I think, in the Mail and Guardian, talks about truth and lies in the GNU faux pas. But you also set the conversation up against, I think, an iconic track from, was it the 80s or the 90s, about Little Lies and Fleetwood Mac? That when we're...
I'm not sure, to be honest. I think it's the 80s, maybe even the 70s. Who knows? Eh?
No, I think it's somewhere in the 80s or 90s. Otherwise, then I'm really, really old. But what is not old, of course, is the newness of this GNU and speculation around its longevity. Now, we've heard a couple of things over the last couple of days about a reset from the ANC. The DA is also sticking to its guns in terms of the court action that it's pursuing. The ANC has gone outside to coalesce support there. Can we still trust, and it's one of the issues you look at in your piece, can we still trust political parties to reform themselves, or do we need a new social movement to really challenge what they're doing? I mean, bearing in mind also that out of, I think, 27 million or so registered voters, only around 16 million went to the polls.
Right now, on the face of it, we can't trust our leadership and our political leadership. That is what's coming out very clearly. And I say this not because I want to come down on our political party leadership, but because myself and very many ordinary people, and I consider myself an ordinary person, even though, writing in newspapers and stuff, is that we believe in South Africa. We actually believe in our leadership. We think they can be a lot better. And if they are a lot better, we will be a lot better. And that's what actually prompted the piece. And the piece basically, as a child, you knew when adults were lying to you, right? You knew when they were telling you something just for you to do something, or etc., or didn't want to give you the harsh truth. And you played along. And a lot of us in society are playing along. We know there's no government of national unity. That's just a coalition. So stop calling it that. Stop referring to it that, because the problem we have is that we actually want that unity. We want that unity of purpose, but we have never seen it in our country. And now when you take that unity and act like you are actually achieving it, it is an insult to us, quite honestly, because it's something we really, really want. Secondly, is that what you are doing has no end game of having a actual unity that can provide the impetus that our economy, our social lives, everything requires. It can't provide it, because you are just doing that which gives you more enhanced power, because it doesn't try to bring back that those millions that did not vote, those millions that chose not to vote. You don't worry about them, because it's only about those who voted and can you get the most votes. So it's a coalition of convenience, and we know that. So we take our hat off on the ANC for right now for having these talks, but the talks can't center just around the budget. It can't just center around the budget.
We'll tease it out in just a moment. But I mean, there were agreements going into this GNU, and my colleague Stephen Kruiters, right at the very beginning, was writing about, not calling it the GNU, as you're saying, and calling it the Grand Coalition, which it is a grand. GNU would be everybody across the political spectrum playing a role and taking part. But they would say, there was an agreement in place. And again, that agreement, the statement of intent, is being tested in terms of, who challenges the tenets of that particular agreement. But coming back to the people piece, Donovan, which is really what we're talking about here, when you think of 11 million people who simply just didn't bother to show up to vote, and we contrast, and there's a nice piece in the Daily Maverick by Victoria Reagan talking about voter turnout, looking at 1999, 89% of people, to an all-time low in May 2024 of around, let's call it 59% of people turning up to the votes, and less people seem to be invested in the electoral process in South Africa. So is political disillusionment in our country a threat, or can it be an opportunity for democratic reinvention?
It can be. That's the latter. That's what I think I'm trying to push our leaders to think. If they think more highly of ourselves, they could think more highly of themselves, and vice versa, in many ways. And the piece argues that, look, please stop relying on the National Economic Development and Labour Council. In Madiba's first and only term, in 1998, if there was a presidential job summit, which was supposed to give a social compact. Then in 2003, just a year before the 2004 elections, there was the Growth and Development Summit. And then you've had Askisa, you've had a whole number of matters. And then, of course, we've had the National Development Plan. All of them says there should be this agreement that society agrees to and buys into, and then the responsibility is given to NEDLAC. NEDLAC does not represent the people of South Africa, quite clearly. We need localized meetings, and I'm calling in the piece for, and that's part of the social movement, as I'm saying, is that you need to have ward-based meetings, that you allow people to speak, to say what's wrong, but also to say what should be done. And those plans should be put together to give a regional plan, and that regional plans should be put together to give provincial plans, and provincial plans can then inform a national plan. And I even say, but you don't only rely on democracy and mass democracy for that matter, people-centered, people-driven. You also allow for smart people. You allow for those geniuses who come up with ideas that may not come through the process, and give the president a casting vote as such to be able to parachute those possible genius type plans in, because we need a proper economic recovery plan. We've never had one. We've had a stabilization plan in gear. We've had the National Development Plan, which wasn't a plan. It was a problem statement. It analyzed the problem. We actually haven't had a recovery plan. And we need to put one together that everyone buys into, because we want this unity. But you can't do that if the president in particular, and one is in the piece is calling for the president to lead this, not NEDLAC, puts it together by putting it in the hands of people. So we start to buy into it. The apathy that you raise, the disillusionment, is because every single day we lose confidence in every government institution, from a hospital to the police, to a home affairs office, to a social development office, to employment offices. You name it. There's not a single institution, can be an airport even, that we don't just die a little. And that's the anomie I also raised in the place that Durkheim talks about. You start to get isolated from society and you give up on it. You can't give up on it. And we can't give up on South Africa because most of us can't there's nowhere else we want to go. We believe in our leaders. They just need to improve dramatically, really dramatically, and be a lot more honest and transparent.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you have I mean, just the other day, we did an interview with the Brenthurst Foundation. Ray Hartley was talking to us there about some new research that showed the confidence that citizens have. I think it was around 57%, and I do speak under correction. I'll try and pull that study up really quickly, of people who are confident in the GNU to do its work and bring the kind of turnaround that is needed in the country. So there's that on the one side. But I want to go back to your idea, and we've only got about a minute or so, Donovan, if we can, the ward-based meetings and kind of getting that ground-up involvement in the way that services can be delivered. Our reporters every day are in communities talking to people while they're standing knee-deep in water, or while they're standing in communities where sewage is just running around, or where children are being abused and they're being preyed upon. People are trying to do that, but it's just it's not building the momentum. They either stopped at council level, or it dies, and it's stillborn in those communities. So there's a distance between sentiment and actually coalescing and galvanizing communities in the way that you're suggesting.
I think you are addressing, if you're just talking for talking's sake and there's no knitting, there's no putting it together in a plan, then it means nothing. And you've had a number of these. Our IDPs are basically, political games of parties, etc. The integrated development plans were community meetings, ward-based meetings, etc. All of them are just political games. And we need to get out of that. It must come. So you drop your political ambitions as party and party leaders. You come together to create a plan by listening to the people. But if it's just talking for talking's sake, like these Imbizos can be, then nothing's going to go anywhere. I know you're running out of time.